Yeah, especially some of that southern Texas drawl and stuff you got. So Well, welcome everybody. Trust everybody's had a great summer, and I'll start first. Injuries. Luke Chris is out probably until January, February. He tore his Achilles training this summer. So tough injury for him. He was a young man, played our top 6 down in Texas. Tough injury, but he'll bounce back. Kyle McDonald is out until probably November. He had a knee injury last year down in Texas, ACL surgery, so he's out till November. Cameron Hughes had core injury surgery, and he'll be out until probably mid-October. And Chase Wheatcroft has a wrist injury out till mid-October. That's the injuries in the whole organization. So it's all good, as good as can be.
That's a little bit of a tough break on Wheatcroft because didn't he break his leg to start off?
Yeah, I think that was his first exhibition game. I think that was his first exhibition game, his first year pro, and yeah.
How do you kind of approach that with guys at that level who are hoping, if they're looking at the roster and saying there might be opportunity for a fourth line role for me? How do you manage a tough situation like that?
No, you support them. They've been here, they've been working out, they're skating on their own. So you just support them, encourage them, and everybody goes through some adversity. That's what they got. They're going through it, but they'll be fine. They'll be all right.
Okay. I'm just going to say, how's the start of a new year with the different coaching staff? What have you been part of in the past month and a half or so to get them ready to go into this?
Well, they've been very good. They're very, as we know, they're very professional. They've been digging in. There's lots of energy around them. They're getting used to the players getting used to them, which is I think that's kind of refreshing also. And so there's been a great vibe down in the dressing room.
Do you see anything that you expect to be different as far as how he either runs the team or what he can try and get out of the players, whether that's more physicality, better power play, whatever?
Yeah, I don't, I get back to, it's a pretty good team here, and he's not going to come in and all of a sudden change everything that's going on. He knows he's got a good team, but he's going to put his stamp on it. He's going to put his trademark on it. What that is, I don't know. That's up to him and the coaching staff, and we'll see. There's going to be situations arise that there's always that one telling moment during a season, during a game, and we'll see how he responds. But I'm very confident that he'll do a good job for us.
You talked about when you made the hire back in the summer. You said you kind of harkened back to the fact that you spent a couple of weeks with him before letting him go the last time. What have you learned about him just back together? I know you've had deep conversations before the hire, but in this time since you made the hire, what have you learned? And what do you see different and better about him?
Yeah. Well, first of all, he's a good man. I knew that when I met with him last year. He's a good man. He's a good teammate. It's all about the team. But to see his maturing, where he's come from, he was a young guy thrown in a tough situation here. The team wasn't great. A lot of veteran players at the end of their career trying to hold on, and he's dictating a little bit of their career, which can be oil and water at times. So tough situation for him. But to see his maturing level now, where he's worked under some great coaches. You look at his resume, and he's done himself. What he did in Calgary with the team that was on the bubble, and then to see how he's transitioned into Edmonton. Edmonton's been one of the top teams, as we know, in the league, and to see how you're dealing with different levels of players sometimes. You're dealing with McDavids and Dreisaitl's, and he was a big part. I know when we hired him, I got a lot of calls, and they miss him. And that says a lot. And he's transitioning into a team kind of similar. We've got some high-end players here, and I think he's do a great job managing those guys, plus the guys below those guys. I think he'll do a great job.
Jim, how much does the almost getting there fuel the guys in that dressing room, do you think, going into a season like this?
Well, I think it fuels them a lot. There's no quitting these guys. They know how close they are. We've done a lot of winning over the last 5 or 6 years. And, when I go to talk to them, I'm going to talk about adversity. This is part of adversity. We all go through it, and you don't stop because of adversity. And I know we got a bunch of players in there that they're wired. They want to win. They know how close they've been. Now on the flip side, they also understand it's a tough league. You just don't go from we're going to go win the regular season and go win the cup. It doesn't work that way. We know it's going to be some roller coaster rides. There's going to be some, every season there's trying moments. You look back to last year. I was just looking at some notes. You go back to last year, Tyler Seguin in December. Him with Duchesne and Marshman were probably one of the best lines in the league. They were carrying our team, actually. The rest of the team was kind of struggling. They were carrying it. He gets surgery in December. What a blow that is to the team. We all kind of forget about that. We're like, ooh, how are we going to get through this? Well, we find a way. We get through it. Miro Heiskanen goes down. And it wasn't a 2 to 4 week injury. We find out it's till the playoff start type of injury. You're losing your best defenseman, one of the best defensemen in the league. That's adversity. Same time, Nils Lundqvist, here's an opportunity for him to come in, and he gets hurt. Same time, Marchman got hurt. He was out almost 2 months. So we went through a lot last year. And I go back to the years before that, same thing. So you're going to go through things. It's not going to be smooth sailing. The league has got even tighter. These teams have been drafting high over the years. They're getting better and better. The top teams are staying the top teams. It's going to be a grind. But we know that, and that's what we're looking forward to.
There are a few roster management rules that are kind of changing this year. The salary cap in the playoffs, then kind of limitations on paper transactions on the AHL. How does that change your approach to how you build your team and the players that make the roster coming out of training?
Yeah, some of those rules aren't even set yet, so we're still going through some of that. Some of the LTI rules, NHLPA and the league are still working on, so it's not finalized, so we're still waiting to hear that. And really it's going to be, if I would have told you, let's go back a year again, what we just talked about, if you'd have told me Sagan's out for pretty well the year, Miro Heiskanen out for the year, we weren't planning for that situation. So it really depends. You get the season going. Let's see what happens, and we're just going to have to adjust to it. But we know we got cap room. We know we got some good young players that are coming in. We got some good young players who are going to take another step for us this year. That's going to be key for us. So I think we're situated pretty well to handle all those different scenarios.
Jim, go ahead.
After seeing what Mikko Rantanen was able to do last year, just in such a difficult season for him, what do you hope he can accomplish now, having a full year here, a camp here? How do you think that can benefit him?
Well, I don't think I even hope, and I think we know who he is. We've watched him. Unfortunately, we've had to play against him for the last 8 to 10 years, so we know who he is. Now he's on our side, and so I'm looking forward to it. He's had a chance now to kind of debrief. He's selling his place in Colorado. He's got a place here now. He's had a summer to get settled in. I think he just got engaged, so I think his life's pretty good. And he's, something you don't see with Mikko, and with a lot of premiums you don't see. He's got great leadership capabilities, and that's what I'm looking forward to. He's very focused, very dedicated. He's driven to win, and that's what I'm looking forward to now that he's settled into the dressing room, and I know he's going to be a big voice in that dressing room.
Jim, how much was Glenn part of the conversation about bringing in a couple of guys? Timing-wise, I'm not sure if he was part of the conversation with Fox, but with Nathan Bastian. Is a player like that brought in with an eye to some of the changes that Glenn might be making? Yeah, we're always looking. Situations depends on what type of player it is. Money comes into play, cap comes into play, but Glenn and I talk all summer, and when we go to make a move, I ask him to get his opinion. It's important, especially he's come from a different organization, so he might know something we don't know about a player. We talk to our assistant coaches all the time about these players, so the line of communication is always open for those type of, whenever we're making transactions.
You just mentioned the cap. The cap forced you to lose a couple of really effective offensive players, Marchman and Granlund. The players you brought in don't necessarily have that role or haven't had it successfully in the past. How do you see the group kind of filling in those roles and adding the goals that those two guys lost?
Well, first of all, it's opportunity for other players. As a league, every team's going to go through that. It doesn't take too much of a mathematician to figure out if somebody's gone from making $1 million to making $8 million or $4 million to making $8 million. Something's got to move. It's just life. It's the way it is. But what I'm excited about this year is we've got a group, and they're kind of becoming part of our core, younger players. Time for them to take that next step. I think that's what's going to define a big part of our season is these guys that take that next step. And, we got the veterans there. They've been doing it for a long time. We got a core that's been there for a while. Now we got this next group of guys, and give me more opportunity for them. That's what excites me.
Jim, when you went through the 4 nations last year, what did you guys learn as far as dealing with the condensed schedule, players going to play internationally as you get ready for the Olympics, knowing you have to deal with that again this year?
Yeah, last year was really going to be a similar season. I think the schedule might be a little bit more condensed this year. It's just going to be a tough schedule, but it is for everyone, so it's not an excuse. We got a great sports performance department. They're going to manage the players the best they can. We've talked to the players about it also. How do they manage themselves? Talk to the coaches. Practice time comes into play. That's probably the biggest. When I'm interviewing coaches, that's probably the biggest thing I always mention to them is, especially if you come from the East Coast or somewhere, to understand the travel, because it is tough. It is tough, and usually that first road trip. They kind of leaned back over to me and said, "You're right. You get in at 2:30 or 3, and they're like, yeah, you're dead on." But you know what? We've managed it over the years, and players have done a great job with it. A lot of times you guys don't see things that happen behind the scenes, but we've had games where we've gone in at 4:35 in the morning, having to spend a whole day in a city we shouldn't have, and playing that next night. And I'm like, boy, this is, it can become an excuse, and our guys don't. And I remember the one trip we had to Seattle was a disaster. Plane and pilots couldn't get them lined up. And I remember when we were landing, it was about 4:30 in the morning, and the guys were doing their college chants and stuff in the plane. So it's just, when you get in those situations, you get goofy, but that's a good thing. And that's how our players are. We got a good group of guys. We got a strong room.
With the Olympics this year, Jake Ottinger's got the potential, I think, especially with his playoff performance last year and how Hellebuck struggled to potentially take that starting role for Team USA. So how does that play into his load management, knowing you need him for that stretch run in the playoffs?
Well, I'm with Team Canada, so it won't come in. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. No, we're going to manage that, and it's not only just for the Olympics. We got to manage that anyways. This schedule, it's a beatdown. It's going to be a tough one. Tough schedule, but we're ready for it. Jake's ready for it, and Casey DeSmith is. So we're going to manage that. We're very fortunate. We have a strong 1-2 combo, but we're going to watch that closely.
With the way things ended last season with Jake, were there any conversations about moving forward, or was that just kind of, that's done, let's move forward, there's a new coach and everything?
Yeah, we've moved forward, and Jake's very good with that. He's been very good, and he's looking forward to this season.
Can you update the fans on the Robertson talks? Well, I think both sides have been very
Yep.
patient. But can you explain why both sides are being very patient?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think things really got blown out of proportion, and for different reasons. And you got to kind of know our situation. You hear a lot of these situations going on right now that are taking place. Those players are all UFAs. We have team control for 2 more years, RFA rights for Jason for 2 more years. So different time frames for a lot of these. We talked about how we had to get rid of players during the summer because of our cap situation. So up till then, as we're trying to work through that, these other teams aren't very fair. They know our situation too. They're not very nice partners. So they know we got to do something. And so they're calling and they're asking about different players, which they should be. I'd be doing the same thing when I've, gone to teams. That's how we got Stephen Johns the one season. That's how that happened. So teams are calling on that, and during that time, I'm also talking to Jason's agent, trying to see if I can get ahead of the ball game. And I think you guys have all seen the negotiating market right now with the players, in the league. It's come to a standstill, and it's a standstill too with Jason. And I don't blame him. He's not a UFA, but he's an RFA. He wants to see what the market is. We want to see what the market is. And so things are really kind of on hold, but we communicated all summer. They know our stance. They know what they're looking for, and I'm confident we're going to get something done. The good thing is we're going to get the best out of a lot of these players. That's the best thing.
That's the best thing too, because
Yeah.
even if it gets done in the summer, he has the potential to have the best career.
Yeah,
in his life.
Jason wants to bounce back from last year. He got off to a slow start. He had the foot. He missed all the training camp. That was a tough start for him.
He's done that from January on.
Yeah.
Top 10 in the league.
Pressure of the 4 nations. He's trying to get that going. He can now come in clear-minded and say, I want to go have my best year. And that's what I'm looking forward to as a general manager, and the coach are looking forward to it. We're getting the best version of Jason Robertson, and I'm happy for him. He can do that, and we're the ones that are going to be rewarded for it.
When you hired Glenn, you talked about what made you confident in him getting this group past where they've been the last 3 years. But now that he's been in the building, is there something you can point to that really gives you the confidence that they can get over that?
Well, I just think it's a fresh face. It's what he's done in the past with other teams. You know, he's been with Edmonton. I thought Edmonton really changed the way they played against us last year. I was impressed. The Edmonton in the past, when they get up by 1 goal, they'd usually try to make it 5 goals, and that's when we'd pounce on it. I thought they really changed their game. They got up by 1 goal, and they gave us nothing. And Glenn's a big part of that. He was a big part of teaching these players how to do it. So as far as seeing something, I just see the energy in the room now. You know, it's a new voice. Players are excited. You know, you guys are going to get to know Glenn and his staff, Neil Graham and you know, David Pelche. These, once you get a chance to meet them, you're going to know why. They're full of life, and the players are excited about it. They're going to bring in some different ideas, maybe open up some things for different players. We're going to sit and watch, see where it goes.
Would you say that Edmonton performance was a big reason into why you made the decision ultimately?
What, to make the change?
Watching him.
Well, I wouldn't say it's not the full reason why. There's other things that came into play, but it made it a lot easier when I knew I had to make a change of who was a possible candidate. Yeah.
Speaking of new coaches, what were your first impressions from seeing Toby Peterson behind the bench this weekend, and maybe just that weekend being your overall?
Yeah, I'm excited for Toby and his staff. Toby's a good man. We, once again, fortunate he came up through our system. People forget that he played 397 NHL games. Pretty quiet 397 games. That's pretty good for a guy that was never supposed to play in the league. But he's a good man. He's got the player development side to him. That's what he's been doing in Colorado for the last 4 or 5 years. He coached with the head coach in Colorado down in Cleveland, so he's got the experience. But I was excited for him, you know, for anybody who was at those games. You know, the first game was a tough game. It was a mud puddle, slush puddle. And to see how they bounced back the second game. And that, I was so happy for him because that shows the message got through and that the players believe in him.
Have you started talking to Thomas Harley's camp about essentially?
We've talked a little bit, just really kind of off the record, but I'd like to get started on that sooner than later, see where it goes. Once again, I want to be careful. This is an Olympic year. And you know, I've gone through this with some other players. It's a big year for Thomas, and I just want to make sure they're comfortable with it. And I want to keep it as short as we can if we are going to do it. But I would like to get that started. Yes.
Jim, I guess I'll put these together. Nils Lundqvist seems to have taken big steps, and then his injury set him back. And does it feel kind of like it's maybe one of his spots to lose? And on the other side of it, Petrovic has done what he's done incredibly from the AHL to NHL. Where do you see him, and is he a full-time NHL option as well?
Well, yeah, first of all, Nils, I thought he was really coming on last year. And he's one, I talk about the guys that need to grab it. He's a great example. It's time for him now. He's worked too hard. You know, he's an amazing story. I don't know if you guys know, he's 2 years in a row. I haven't seen the test results yet. He's won the most fit player. And he's an amazing, his work ethic's amazing. If we would have got to the next round, he was going to become an option for us, which we never dreamed of in the playoffs last year. You know, it was a season-ending injury as far as we were told. So he's got a great commitment to the game. I thought he's really taken strides. So when I talk about the guys that need to grab it, needs to grab it. And I'm excited about that because I know he will. He's that type of guy. And then on the flip side, Petro's done a great job. He's a veteran. He knows his role. He's come in and played big minutes for us in the playoffs. And like I said, he's fighting for a spot here too. I'm excited for him to see where he's at. And I know he's big in the dressing room. He's been a big voice for Bishop at times, you know, from their time down in Austin and that. They really worked well together, so I'm excited for Petro. He's done a good job, and we're going to need everybody. It's we talked about the schedule. We're going to need a lot of bodies, and so I'm looking forward to these guys performing up to where they should.
Ken Dryden, obviously the Hockey World lost him recently. I was wondering if you maybe have any thoughts about what he meant to the hockey world.
Yeah, great man. I was fortunate. I interviewed in Toronto. He was the president at the time and got to know him well then. And just a great man, classy, you know, great hockey mind, but a great mind for everything, and really cared about people, cared about, where our world is going. He had a real good vision that way, and big loss for us all, but he left a great template on the world for us all.
Good.
All good?
Great.
Thanks,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thanks, everybody. Yep, take care.
Back in just a minute with Glenn.